If you want to get in, you can't be too late. You've been a waste of time. Don't have to wait.
I told the plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told the plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I'm in Cali every week. I go hard.
You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com/New Haven Independent or go to your Facebook page, look us up, and hit see first so you get all the great shows here on the New Haven Independent, which is probably one of the few places you're going to hear independent voices speaking about the issues in a real way.
Letting everybody know what it is, what the story is. It's always great to see you, Joe.
Yeah, always good to see you, Lou. I see you survived the weekend, the holiday weekend.
We did survive this holiday weekend.
It's double holiday.
It's a big holiday.
Right?
My family was even huger.
Because you had a birthday, too.
My wife's birthday, and my wife and I started dating 9 years ago.
Wow. And then
4/19, I threw a party in college on April 19th. I was a senior. She was a freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I threw a party. We lived off campus, the whole, fraternity guys, and
she showed up.
She came with a friend of hers. By 4/21, 3 days later, this party was a 3-day party.
Well, of course,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right?
It was a Friday. It was a Friday night. We quick story, not go crazy, but Friday night we college Friday night
party.
We lived in a house together. It was owned by the fraternity brother, the whole nine. Saturday was 4/20, and
you know what happened then.
We enjoyed April 20th quite heavily.
And she stuck around?
She stuck around again, and then, came back. And on 4/21, we were like, well, it's your birthday. Let's throw you a party. So we threw her a party, and we kept the party just going. So
and you kept the party going for 10 years.
Yeah,
now,
9 years now, 10 years. We kept the party going. So it was Easter. Kids, obviously.
Easter,
dad duties. Right? 4/20, which was great. Traveling around our holiday. We went down to Joe. We went down to Go Joe's.
That's right. That was nice. Thank you for coming.
We really appreciate that. The Emporium looked amazing.
It was
the whole
cool.
Setup looked great. There was a ton of artists that had work up on the walls. So if you come down to Milford, right next to Bohemian High, the Grove, Go Joe's Emporium sitting right up front.
Get some coffee.
You can get some self-serve coffee. You can get yourself a cup of tea. I believe there's little snacks and stuff like that. You throw a couple bucks in the till there, and you'll be open when there's events going on,
and then
when there's stuff's going on, right?
We want to open on a regular basis, Wednesday through Saturday, from 3 to 7.
That's awesome. So like a happy hour?
Yeah, like a happy hour coffee CBD hour.
Yep.
After work.
I love it.
You need to chill. You have a cup of CBD coffee or tea.
You'll count me down there.
All right. Have a little edible, lollipop, whatever.
Little CBD relaxation after work or something.
We'll have music going,
And the hula hoop was really cool, too. I like that there was a big, very artistic scene going on down there.
Yeah.
Embracing cannabis and the culture and lifestyle and relaxation, and it wasn't about getting trippy. It was more about just getting that nice CBD anti-inflammatory relaxation going on. So it was awesome.
Chill. And then there was other, the other 4/20 was taking place other places.
Oh yeah, which was perfectly cool, and it was nice. And I love the way you put it out there. Stop by for a half hour.
Come by, hang out, right?
That's it.
Celebrate 4/20, and then go on your next, because we know people are busy on 4/20.
Yeah, and I loved it, Joe. I loved it. You had great hours there. Everybody was awesome. It was great to see Brian there. It was great to see Pat. I saw
Pat
those
was down
great
there
guys.
when you were there.
And Pat's on his own hemp adventure out on the West Coast, which is awesome, manifesting his dreams.
He's got some good stuff
his
going
stuff.
on. That's his deal.
Manifest your dreams.
life.
Oh, manifest your life. That's right. And it's a good thing. He's a hemp farmer now in Oregon, correct?
Yes.
So we wish him a happy, healthy, and
We
prosperous
should have him
season.
call in sometime. Maybe
We'll
he'll
get him
call in
in.
next week.
We'll get him in.
Yeah.
And then, so Joe, other than that, what did you do?
Well, it was same with me. You know, it was nice. We had that opening on Saturday, and I spent the whole day there, obviously.
Mhm.
But it was nice. People came in and out. You and Pat and
It was a
Sally
big crowd.
Pappas came down.
It was a big crowd.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
crowd throughout the day.
I
It was
saw
very
Ian
nice.
there. There was a lot of
Yeah.
random people stopping in and out. It
Yeah.
was really impressive.
And
I
people
was like,
loved the
look
coffee.
at this.
They loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, look at Joe. Good job, Joe. Joe is shining right now.
I loved it. It was very nice. It was
Yes.
good to see that people enjoyed the coffee and the concept. That for me was very important. Proof of concept. You know what I mean? Because this is something different. Nobody's really done it down in Milford or anything. I know people have served CBD,
Mm-hmm.
but this is pretty much focused on CBD. You know, we have uninfused things for those who
Right.
want it, but it's mostly CBD infused things.
Right.
So the whole concept is based around CBD, you know, and then you have the event space behind it,
Right.
like you say, with the art on the wall, and then we do classes there, and we do workshops with Can It Create, all kinds of things. We'd love to do more, you know.
Yeah. It was. I
So-
saw somebody was advertising a succulent class.
Yes, suck it.
So that I thought that was really interesting. They had the whole flower pot set up and
Yeah.
everything. I said, you know what?
Yeah,
That's awesome. I might do that.
yeah,
And
and
come
then
down and have a good time.
that we have Psychic
Oh,
going to be
yes,
there on
that's right.
Thursday.
Yeah, yeah.
Psychic, who used to work with actually the Warrens,
Yes.
and she just died apparently. Lorraine
time,
Warren,
yes.
she died recently, I think, last
A lot
week.
of famous people came to Connecticut just for that.
Yeah.
You know, like come out and check them out. And it's interesting.
So there's a lot of cool things at the Grove, and that's another guy we should have on is Rich sometime because you know
Yeah.
without him, it wouldn't have been possible. He's the guy who made the deal happen and everything. You know, 'cause
That's
of-
nice. So big shout out to Bohemian High over there,
Yeah.
always taking care of the team and working as
Yeah.
part of the team.
Yeah.
So,
very very cool. So yeah, so that was mine, and then of course Easter. You know,
yep, and Easter's
you
some
know the
family
deal
time
on
and
Easter
stuff.
family. I
Yeah.
spend it with a lot of my.
And then we'll
family.
get our update from Kieber. She's speaking to be in a little while.
Yeah,
She's coming
on
in,
her
so
way.
don't be
She
shy. She
texted
knows
me.
she's coming. So
But
we love her to
meanwhile,
death.
we had a meeting last week.
Yes, sir.
Just want to give
Let's
everybody
throw
an
that out
update
there.
on what's going on with the Connecticut legalization bill. So we had a meeting last week of the coalition, the Connecticut Coalition, and there was a few people there, and we talked about what came out of the caucuses
Mm-hmm.
on I think it was Thursday. So what basically came out of it was that there is going to be a hearing for finance,
Mm-hmm.
that it will be the week of April 29th. Okay. And they have to vote by May 2nd.
Yep.
So basically April 29th is going to be the hearing on finance, and then their vote has to be by May 2nd. So they're going to hear it and then maybe even vote the next day.
Wow.
So it's going to be quick, and they haven't even released the bill yet. So that should happen this week.
Right.
The Finance Committee should release their bill this week so people can look at it and make their comments ready for whatever hearing happens the week of the 29th. So that's where it's at right now. So we should hear more this week, I would hope, about what the actual bill says. And then now it was very interesting, some of the comments that came out of that. Also, the press conference that happened afterwards was that Governor Ned Lamont pretty much shot down the plan.
Yeah.
To
I saw
this
that.
is the most important thing, to reinvest money into the communities that were affected by the war on drugs. And I think his exact comment was, well, I think we can do better and put it into places like the opioid crisis and things like that.
Right. And the statement right before that was he wants more control of where it's going
Right.
and believes that it should go into things such as
Opioid, right.
the opioids. But when you really look at it, if you give it back to the communities have
What do you put in?
community-based treatment centers, community-based
opioid.
programs for
Right.
the opioid programs.
Right.
So it's just, the money can still go 100% there where it needs
Right.
to, or wherever the city or township determines realistically.
I
And,
mean-
it's a big problem, so they'll address it, I believe.
I would hope that, that he would realize that part of that money going back into the neighborhoods would go for opioid abuse programs and possibly to help maybe people get off it with cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll see what the governor says, but this could be one of those things, because this is an issue that some Republicans have an issue with, putting money back into the communities, and even some Democrats don't quite understand why it needs to be done.
Right.
And some people just think put the money in the general fund.
It's an interesting thing, sir.
Which
It's
is
an
crazy.
interesting thing.
So, anyway, that's where we stand with that. So, people, it's very important right now. If you want to still continue the fight, just call your legislators, even if you know they're for it.
Just make them feel good and say, yeah, we support you supporting us.
And we support you, and we want to see this in the bill.
That's right.
That's what I keep telling people. Even a lot of people have come, oh, well, my state rep is for it, so I'm good. They're going to vote yes. Yeah. But what are they going to vote yes on? Let them know how important it is for you to see that expungement.
It's a big thing.
Expungement
or whatever's
of
big
records.
into you. So if girl rights are big into you, or medical girl rights are big to you, or
Right.
expungements, or the equity portion, it's
equity
whatever
portion.
your individual goal would be. You want to make sure your legislative or your representative knows that as well.
Right, exactly right. Because I
and
think
this is
if
big,
you're,
Joe.
it's big. If you're
This is
passionate
big.
about it, you're going to give a better argument to
And
them.
here's a slight example. And I was surprised, but the American Marketing Association of Fairfield County
Mhm.
is holding an event this week.
About?
Get the buzz on the cannabis.
Ooh,
And that's
who's
what
throwing
it says. The Fairfield County chapter of the American Marketing Association.
And what day is that?
Wednesday, April 24th
At what time?
at 5:30. And what it says is, we are pleased to present a riveting session of learning, networking, and perhaps some mind-expanding enlightenment on the business of cannabis. In the cannabis industry, is the cannabis industry truly on a roll, designated to turn big pharma and CPG on their heads? Ooh, so they're talking. And there is our expert panels
Who's on it?
include Commissioner Michelle Siegel,
Oh, of DCP.
Yeah.
Okay, who else?
the Managing Director of Hyperventure, CFO of MTech Acquisitions Corp,
Oh, money
CMO
people are
of
going to be
Coda
there.
Signature, Witty, founder of Panatech Public Relations, Creative Streak Studios.
Oh, I didn't know they were big in the industry.
Look at this. And this is mostly, sponsors from Connecticut, Alpha Graphics
Oh, I know Alpha Graphics.
and Media Associates. So these are Connecticut companies, large Connecticut companies, focusing on the advertising and marketing
the
portion.
branding.
of-
I think I'm going to go to that.
I'm gonna go to.
Pass
Joe.
me that over.
We'll go
What's the
together.
cost? What's it say?
It says between $10 and $30.
Oh,
so
so where's it
general
being
admission
held?
$30,
Where's it being held?
and it is being held in Westport.
Oh, well, we gotta go down to West. Well, then of course you know what kind of people are going to be there.
So this is we're talking about
This is
going
the
from
big money
this
people.
Is finance.
This is
we're
the
talking
big money
finance.
people. These are the people
committee,
we
right?
almost don't like, but we kind of want to be their friends.
Joe, I was asked to be nice to the commissioner. That was literally can you be nice to the commissioner when you come?
Yeah, no, the
I said,
commissioner.
of course,
No, we have. I have
we got
I have no
qualms.
issue with Michelle Siegel.
None. We have none.
I think she's done the best with what she was given,
And she was given it. That's the thing.
I mean,
And
Jonathan
she's so
Harris.
sweet. She's a great woman. I met her personally over at the Science Center.
She is. She's
Yeah.
fine. It's not necessarily her.
Yep.
I think she inherited the program from Jonathan Harris.
Right.
Jonathan did a great job of setting it up.
The way that
And I
they
know
wanted
he got
it. Yeah.
frustrated when
Yes.
they stepped in and took the money away
Yep.
and threw it in the general fund. And that was
Yeah.
the last straw for him because it was supposed to be a self-sustaining and almost a
Correct.
self-running program.
Yeah.
And they started sticking their nose in and
Yep.
taking the money. I'm talking about the legislators and stuff. So Michelle inherited this.
Exactly.
From
And she's doing a
Jonathan.
great job.
And
you
I
know?
think the problem
she's doing
with
her job.
it's not her. She doesn't have the resources. She doesn't have the funds that they promised her. She doesn't have the staff that she needs. And she has a board of physicians who have their heads up their butt. So she has to work with that. And I think she's doing a fine job. And I have no issue with Michelle Siegel. Now, was that nice enough?
Of course.
Okay,
that was
good.
amazing.
All right. So anyway, so that's a good thing. I think you and I should head down to that and see what's going on. And also tonight in Bloomfield, there is a open forum
Mm-hmm.
with, I believe it's Senator McCrory and somebody else down there in Bloomfield, Connecticut, and hopefully when Kieber comes in, we can get some information about that.
Yeah.
But so that's what's kind of going on locally here in Connecticut, and you got to look around because right now is the time that a lot of your legislators are holding these little breakfasts
Mm-hmm.
and little community forums. They're not necessarily all geared towards cannabis. I know the one tonight is geared towards cannabis legalization. Some of them are geared towards other things, but it's a chance to just come in and see your legislators, shake hands with them,
Mhm.
and talk to them face to face and tell them what you're looking for.
And as a pro person, you may not be going there to bring that up because it's a topic, but I guarantee you one of the antis or the opposition will definitely bring it up.
Right.
You know, what do you think about cannabis? Oh, well, we're not here to talk about that, but here's my opinion.
Right. And
Or-
a lot of people are out there upset about tolls.
Right.
That's a big issue right there. And this paid leave is a big issue. So the legislators have a lot on their plate. But
Right.
we have to make sure legalization is up there, right there at the top.
Right. It should be.
And
as
that's
it
why
should be.
every forum, no matter what they say the topic is about, bring in legalization. I did it with the toll thing last year. I brought legalization right in.
Mhm.
So, but speaking of that, this is what we're up against, okay?
Yes, sir.
So here's Connecticut pot legalization would drive up road risks. Experts say. This is experts now. And it says the Connecticut Legislative Judiciary Committee advanced a bill for the sale. Okay. Okay. Mark Felka, under criminal secretary of the OPM, said he did not know how much they're going to have to do training now. It would cost the state office of policy and management to reimburse local police departments to train their officers to be DREs. So basically, in order to be able to tell if somebody is impaired or not.
Hey, Joe, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are people currently being ticketed and arrested for being under the influence of marijuana?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
But what they're saying is if you legalize it, there's going to be more people out there driving high. And here's, I got to find.
What I take from that as well is, and as you're looking for that, and I got you,
Right.
but they're saying because there's more people, the police officers have to be trained.
Yes, they need to be trained to be able to spot it.
Here's my devil's advocate.
Okay.
If the police officers need to be trained to spot legal marijuana use, what's the difference in between illicit marijuana use?
There is no difference.
So does
Right.
that mean that our current police officers are not currently adequate enough?
Right.
It's saying that
They
they're
should
not
be trained to
So
find
now
any kind of
somebody-
impairment.
So now somebody, this is me talking. Now somebody is fighting a case saying that the police officer noticed that this person was under the influence, and one of these crafty attorney guys, because they get paid a lot of money, come out and say, "Wait a second, you're all telling me our police officers can't spot that marijuana use."
That's pretty bad.
That's that
They should be
catch-22
fighting
that's
back.
going back and forth.
Here's some of the stuff that they say, okay? So, the GHSA reported that 44% of drivers who were killed in crashes nationwide and tested for drugs in 2015 had narcotics in their system. Doesn't say marijuana.
Right.
And according to AAA's analysis, 63% of drivers killed in Connecticut accidents tested for drugs that year, tested positive. Still doesn't say marijuana. But here it does say the same test revealed that the most prevalent drug was marijuana. And she also pointed out that the presence of the drug did not conclusively indicate impairment. So they're kind of giving bogus information out. But the worst thing that they said, and I have to find it here, which really, really pissed me off. Where is it? It basically said that marijuana impairment
Mm-hmm.
can go on for 24 hours
Whoa.
after you ingested the marijuana. And the problem is that people don't know they're impaired.
Hmm.
So wait a minute. Now, so in
Hmm.
other words, what they're saying is if you've ingested marijuana within 24 hours, you're impaired and you don't know it.
Interesting.
Right. and I can't.
That's a rough number, seeing as that they gave alcohol that same number. They a
here it
similar
is.
number. It's 8 hours for alcohol.
Here's where it says it.
So if you have one drink of alcohol, it's 8 hours before you can legally say you
8
have
hours.
eight
Right.
hours. So no cannabis, they're saying 12 hours.
24.
24.
Whereas in
Wow.
Canada, they already set the limit up as 8 hours.
Right, it's
For
8
cops
hours.
and military, they
Yeah,
say you
it's
can
8
use
hours.
cannabis as long as you haven't used it within 8 hours. So basically, it's
Correct.
saying if you smoke it before you went to bed
Right,
and you woke up, you're cool.
right.
You know?
Using
Here's-
it as your sleep aid or such.
Yeah, here's what it says. A person can be impaired from marijuana more than 24 hours after smoking it or ingesting it. They don't feel high anymore, but they're still having impairment. That's somewhat more dangerous because they don't think they are impaired anymore. Now, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, Joe, because if you're impaired, that means that
You
you are
know it.
you are unable to make a decision.
Right.
You're
Or-
impaired. Your decisions aren't good anymore.
right.
They're not viable. But if you're not high anymore,
Then you're not impaired anymore.
then you're not impaired anymore.
These
but
are the
you may
kind
not
of
even
crap.
know that you're still impaired, but you're not impaired.
Yeah, and it's interesting. This study comes out right before they're about to go into the third committee, you know. And some people are actually, I'm sure that some of these legislators who are extremely gullible, who don't go out and do their own research,
Exactly.
because this was in the Connecticut Post. I'm sure they still read that rag, and they're going to see this and go, oh, this is another reason why we shouldn't legalize. And anybody on the fence might see that and go, oh my God, you know. So this is the problem. See, they're going to now spread out all this kind of propaganda.
Yeah.
Now that legalization is becoming more of a reality.
Joe, as I travel up and down the East Coast and all over the country, I see marketing for cannabis and dispensaries and programs. I see pro marketing and I see
Anti-marketing.
There's, you can drive through certain parts of Massachusetts and see a billboard that says that cannabis is evil and horrible, and then 2 seconds later you'll see another billboard that says, "Hey, come buy my weed."
Yeah, of course, because it's legal in
it's
Mass. So
legal.
the opposition still is not giving up.
Right. And the same thing with New York now. As I
Oh,
drive up to see my parents, we go and past the Legoland and we pass Curaleaf. We passed
Right.
the Botanical. These are medicinal pharmacy, medicinal dispensaries set up West Coast style, ideally. They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the pharmaceutical style that we have it set up. You walk in, they just allowed flower, but before that it was all concentrate. So
Right.
now you're walking into like the Apple store of concentrates.
Mm.
And you're like, wow, this is gorgeous in here. And that was one way I had to talk to my parents about it as well. Where
Right.
I brought my parents. I'm like,
You brought them
"Oh."
over to Curaleaf?
Well, I put them to the Botanical, and it's because we were literally shopping next door.
Right.
And I said, you guys know that's a medical dispensary, right? They're like, no, it's a flower shop.
Yeah, it's flour, all right.
I'm like, it's flour, all right, mom and dad. That's that good.
Right?
So we went in. They were like, wow, this is because my parents, I got them medical cards for tropicals and,
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so Dr. Alvarez he's a Latino doctor for medical marijuana. His office is in Warwick, New York.
Oh, and
3
you hooked-
houses down from my parents.
Oh, nice.
And they were like, yeah, he's the pot doctor. I said, so why would we?
Well, let's go see
I
him.
said, why didn't we go talk to him? He said, last name is Alvarez too? What? Let's go.
Right.
And I just did the happy little.
And you hooked him up?
Hey, how's it going, Dr. Alvarez?
I want my parents to get on the program.
I'm Luis. I have a medical marijuana card from the state of Connecticut, and I'm in New York. My parents live down the block, the whole spiel. And he said, yep, come on in. We'll do the whole thing. And they have a couple different medical ailments that don't need to be thrown out everywhere. But there's yeah, you guys qualify for a medical marijuana card. And topicals is what my mother chooses. You know what I mean?
So that works.
Yeah.
She can get good quality topicals that are tested.
Yep, tested. And I'm like,
And
damn,
knows
it's
the
expensive, but
percentage?
it is what it is. And mom
Hey.
feels better.
And
that
you
it's
got her
being
to
done-
use cannabis.
Exactly.
I could never get my mother to use it.
You know,
so
it
she
takes
needed
time.
it.
It takes time.
Speaking of that,
Hey, we got to pay some bills, Joe, because
Yeah.
we are here.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, I
okay, let's
apologize.
do
Yeah,
that.
We got to pay them bills,
you're
brother.
listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com/New Haven Independent or go to your Facebook page and look us up.
I swear these phones are watching. Can you see what just popped up here, Joe?
What is it? It popped. Your phone
It
was
says
dark.
Groupon. CBD hemp oil by Hemp Outlet.
See,
Groupon.
well, Groupon's doing CBD now.
Everybody's doing
Everybody
CBD.
is.
Hemp, Groupon, Living Social, Amazon.
Everybody's doing it.
They're just going into it. That's a big thing. So
Big
if you,
deal. And speaking of CBD and hemp, there is big hearings going on at the end of the
Yes,
month, end of May,
sir.
actually, for cannabis and for CBD, hemp-derived CBD, and what the future of it will be for the FDA. So right now, they're soliciting comments from people, and I've said this before. Send in just a couple lines about why you think CBD should be allowed to be available without a prescription. Basically, that's what the FDA is trying to figure out, whether CBD from hemp should be considered a medicine or be allowed as a food additive. And they kind of shot themselves. The DEA kind of screwed them by making that Epidiolex a medicine. So now they've kind of put the FDA in a bad position. Well, like, if the DEA considers that a medicine, then how can we consider it a food additive? So this is important for them to realize the Epidiolex comes, first of all, from cannabis.
it does.
And it's in a large dose. What
Mhm.
people don't understand is the only way for Epidiolex to work is in a huge dose,
Yeah.
larger than you would get from a hemp-derived CBD topical or a tincture. That, you know what I'm saying?
That'd have to be some super. You'd
And
be
there is a
making
little
your own.
THC in it too,
Yeah.
so they for activation. So they need to see the difference. It's more about the dose
Yeah.
than anything else. So yeah, you can use CBD to stop seizures in kids
Mm-hmm.
as a medicine in this certain dose, and that's what the dose of Epidiolex is. But that isn't necessarily the dose or the strength that you're going to be taking for yourself,
you're
just for
taking
everyday
like 1,000
relief.
milligrams of CBD with the Epidiolex.
Right, at
You know,
once.
at one shot.
And who's drink that? Now, we sell bottles of tincture that are 1,000 milligrams that last people a month.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'd be like
It's a
somebody taking
big
that tincture
difference.
and
It's going from a 10
gulping it
milligram,
down.
right? It's going from a 10 milligram dose as a supplement to a medicinal 1,000 milligrams. So you kind of look
Right.
at like Motrin,
Right.
right?
You can get
Motrin
prescriptions.
Motrin goes up to a certain level, and then it's extra strength, and then it goes to that prescribed level of Motrin.
Right.
You know,
That's what people have to realize. There's also prescription vitamin B12
mm-hmm.
because it's stronger than what you
It's
can
very
buy
strong.
over the counter. There's prescription fish oil.
Mm-hmm.
There is prescription, a lot of these things that are real heavy doses and much more pure than the stuff you buy on the shelf. So there is a way to differentiate it.
And hemp derived. We'll also keep pushing this. Epidiolex is made from indoor hemp that's been
Cannabis.
and indoor cannabis that's been separated, and that whole process has been highly regulated in the form that is clean suits every time you walked in, where
Right.
hemp derived CBD was grown outdoor, folks.
Right.
Let's be very realistic. It's acreages of hemp
Right.
flower, and it's been grown outdoors and then processed and cleaned and then worked all the way down to a supplement level, not a medicinal level.
Right. That's what I think they need to do. And
Yeah.
if anybody's sending in comments, that's something you can point out to them.
Mhm.
You know, the FDA doesn't always think logically. The government never does think logically.
Yep.
So maybe you can point out to them there are examples of cases where there is a prescription strength
Mhm.
and there is a food grade strength.
Right.
And that's what I think we have to get with CBD and a dosage. Like, okay, limit it. You don't
Yeah.
want people out there selling 1,000
Yeah.
milligrams of CBD in
No.
one candy anyway.
No.
What we're seeing out there is 10 milligrams at a time. You know, maybe if you,
Standard 10 to 20 milligram dosage.
yeah,
You know,
nothing
and
heavy.
It's nothing crazy. And then even at that cost effective wise, CBD is cost effective, so it doesn't
Yeah.
murder it. Where a dose of, so say we were bringing in that Epidiolex, the
Yeah.
CBD strength, and we were medicating a coffee cup with that.
Oh,
You know what I mean? You're talking an entire dose of CBD, like 1,000 milligrams, and you're not able to charge $3 for a cup of coffee.
No,
you
you
know
got to
what I
charge
mean?
$3,600 like they charge
Exactly.
a month or whatever they're going to charge
Exactly.
for that.
It's ridiculous. So now a way to help, because you're not on that super severe level, but you can introduce small amounts of
Right.
CBD. Everybody is, they advise you to take a baby aspirin, don't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're taking a baby aspirin, it's kind of the same thing. This is your baby aspirin. It's your
Right.
mild dose of CBD to get through the day. You
Right.
should. Everybody should take about 10 milligrams of CBD
Yeah.
a day, I believe. You know,
Yeah, I agree.
It'll give you a
I
little.
do.
It'll give you. Yep, we do. You know, it's like.
Yeah. I take
good
more
enough.
than that every day, but
Yeah,
still,
you know.
I think it's important to keep your endocannabinoid system
Yeah.
well fed, and I think that's it. No more. But you know what? I also take every day.
Yep.
Fish oil.
Yes, sir.
I take vitamins.
Yep.
I take
we
all
take a
kinds of
multivitamin.
magnesium.
Yep.
So I mean, but yet there's prescription strength magnesium if
Yes,
you
sir.
really need it. I take B12, but
Mhm.
it's a regular commercial dosage. But I could if
My
I needed
mother
it
does
really
the
bad.
prescription.
Right.
She gets a prescription. It's like 350,000 milligrams
Right.
in one capsule. You know,
Some
and
people
it's
need
like-
that, but you can't buy that over the counter.
Yeah.
That's where they got to go with CBD, and I hope they do. I hope they're
I'm
smart
looking
enough to
forward
do
it,
it.
brother.
So I think both of us, probably being in the industry, should be sending in our comments.
We will. We definitely will. You know, we do that, brother.
And I do know the hippie chick from Maine is planning a
She's
bus
amazing.
trip
Yep.
for that weekend down to go down, drive actually down to Washington, D.C. She actually has 3 minutes of time. She got 3 minutes of time to testify before the FDA.
That's beautiful.
She's asking anybody who wants to go down and support her, ride the bus trip. She's got 50 place for 50 people. And she will be stopping in Mass, Connecticut, Rhode Island on the way down. So anybody who's interested should contact the Hippie Chick LLC. She's on Facebook or on Instagram. And maybe we'll have her on too.
Yeah.
See, we just got a list of all these new guests that we can
Every week, Joe. Every week, we're like, well, who are we
We've-
going to have on next
We didn't
week?
get one this week.
Well, that's
Unfortunately,
okay.
guys,
well,
we're sorry.
Somebody,
Yeah, somebody canceled out on us.
we always try to make sure we bring you guys quality guests,
Right.
people on the top of the field that from both sides of everything. So from the political side, from the statistics side, from the
Business,
technology side, business,
medical,
you
everything.
know, IT, medical. We try to give you a little bit of everybody.
Right. Hey, now here's a good thing that's going on.
Talk to me, Joe.
Support for marijuana legalization is at a new high.
Yes, it is, brother.
A new high, they say.
Hi.
It says America's 65 or older are the group still least likely to favor legalization of marijuana. But Americans say alcohol is more harmful to a person's health. 51% to 6% say that alcohol is more harmful to a person's health than marijuana. 2/3 of Americans believe marijuana is less dangerous than most other drugs, particularly those who favor legalization. Opponents of legalization are more inclined to believe that pot is just as bad. 62 Americans now, 62%, including most Republicans and Democrats, approve the federal government to oppose the federal government's plan to stop the sale of marijuana in states where it's already legal. 56 American percent say that a presidential candidate's support for legal marijuana would make a difference in their
It
vote.
does make a difference.
56%.
That's a big population. Realistically, going into this 2020 election,
Oh, it's going to be a big.
it's a topic.
It will be a topic, and I'm surprised it wasn't bigger in 2016. But it wasn't really brought up that much to
No,
either
well-
candidate. They were too busy, like
They were fighting.
With, they were
I'm
too
not
busy
listen,
fighting.
Joe, this ain't the politic. This ain't Harry the
this
Brave,
ain't-
Joe.
you're right, this ain't.
This ain't Harry the Brave,
So who-
bro.
So whoever, becomes a candidate this year,
It's a topic.
it's definitely going to be a topic. And for those who don't know, right now there is a lot of different legislation federally
Mm-hmm.
within Congress right now for legalization.
There's a few different options.
There's a states' rights bill, there's a veterans bill, and there's certain ones that we support and certain ones we don't. I know the Marijuana Justice Act is very good,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in there right now being debated.
That was a big
The
MCBA.
States Act
Yep.
is not so good.
Yep.
Because it really doesn't do much to protect states. It's
It's
just
just
giving you a
business
right that you already
Gives
have.
you business as usual.
Right. And then the veterans bill would be very, very good.
It
At
would
least
be
it would be a
huge for
start.
veterans.
Yeah.
Yes. For the
So-
medical marijuana for veterans.
All in all, basically it's saying, more than ever, 2/3 of American now, before it was just a little over 50%. So now it's over 60% of
That's
people
right.
support marijuana legalization. And this was by a CBS
Yeah.
poll.
These aren't rinky-dink numbers that
No,
you
this
get
was
from
CBS.
the Boy Scouts or something.
So the question is, when is it going to get into the lawmakers' heads? and it's not just in these northeastern states and
Oh
the progressive states. I'm talking about all over the country because this was a countrywide poll. When is it going to get into their heads that it's time to federally legalize this stuff? It's time to federally legalize this plant.
I think that they have it in their mind, but some are just pushing against it, obviously, and they're not looking at it as a now or then. They're looking at it as a straight no. So it's not people that are saying, hey, maybe we need to wait a little while longer.
No, it's a straight no.
It's
right?
a straight no. And then most of the people that are saying yes, it's a straight yes. It's like, hey, it's been too long now. Like,
right.
What are you thinking about? And with the West Coast having so many legal states, and now, the Cannabis Caucus becoming a larger thing on the national level.
This equity is a huge piece,
it
too.
is.
This has now taken it. I mean, I know because we're on the battle lines here in Connecticut, and we're making it a huge issue here in Connecticut
Right.
where it wasn't before.
But it's big, Joe.
It's nationwide.
Did you happen to see Ben and Jerry's 420?
I did see I saw their tweet.
Oh.
And I mean, they're so right on. And I'm glad it's finally being pointed out
Big.
how not only has the war on drugs, what it has done to destroy community, minority communities, and not only minority, but low-income communities.
100%, Joe.
How what it's done to destroy that. But also the inequity and I don't know if Ben and Jerry necessarily mentioned that, but the inequity in the business now.
100%. They did mention that.
Is the fact that the majority of cannabis companies in this country are owned by either corporations or white people.
Very wealthy. Let's
put it that
very
way.
wealthy people, because it's just disproportionate to.
And I hate even to think that it gets to the lower levels, but if I'm looking at even some of these small cannabis companies that opened up,
that's more where the race thing kind of pops into.
Yeah,
but the large companies,
where we know they're all corporate.
They're corporate, and a lot of them are Asian, realistically.
Well,
They're
look, if you really look at a
Russian,
corporation,
they're
they're mixed. If you look at their
Yeah.
board of directors, there's probably
It's very mixed.
right? But the point
The
is,
core
it's
is-
corporate
yeah, it's
money,
corporate. Big brother.
corporate freaking money,
Yeah.
and that's the problem with the way the cannabis industry is evolving. The government is really not doing much
No.
yet. I mean, of course, it's evolving. So maybe they will step up and do something to regulate that. And I think that's what we're pushing for in Connecticut. A lot of people, equity, they don't understand why we need equity. It's beyond more than equity. It's about stopping the proliferation of this corporate white takeover that is
That's right,
happening in
Joe.
the cannabis
Let
industry.
them know.
It is. It is about stopping that.
Yes.
And
We
that's
need the
really
we
the
need
point.
the cottage industry.
We need to spread this money out
Yes.
among the communities. And that's fine. Look, the corporations have their place, just like McDonald's has its place in the restaurant industry.
Exactly.
Just like, Walgreens
There's
has
a place
its
for everybody, but let there be a place for everybody.
For everybody, and not just you.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing the cannabis industry and the corporate mentality sees this as like just the next big cash
It's the
cow
boom,
for them.
man. It's
and,
the boom,
and they see
Joe.
that big fat cow sitting on the table,
She's a
and they
big,
got
fat,
their
sexy
butcher
married
knives
cow.
out,
I'm waiting.
ready to carve it
I
up,
want it.
and they're kicking everybody
I
else
can't get to
away
the
from
cow.
the table. All I have is a little butter knife
Yep.
or fork. I can't even get up
Nope,
there. With
they handed me a spoon.
They hand you a spoon.
Yep.
Right? and we're lucky if we're on the floor grabbing that little crumb that they spilled
Joe,
down on the
I saw the guy next to me with some Valerian steel broadaxe. I was handed the spoon.
Right.
What's going on?
Right. But yeah, these big corporations come in there with their giant, knives, cutting up that pie and not thinking that because they want it all. They think,
Right.
okay, we're going to split up this pie, but amongst us,
Right.
not amongst the little guys. No,
And then-
we'll share. We'll share Cureleaf. We'll share with
But then
Acreage.
when-
We'll
but-
share with GTI. Yeah, because we're all big
Yep,
corporations.
but then when we get up there and they're like, "Oh, great, we control all the cannabis, but you can only purchase 1 gram today."
yes, yes,
You're like, "Whoa, did
or
this-
an ounce and a half.
did this just turn into blood diamonds?"
This is what they don't understand. You give it to a small amount of people, then they can start controlling the market. Then because look, we know the 4 growers here are already in cahoots.
Oh,
They already have a coalition because they're sharing the cost of a lobbyist.
yep.
There's no one grower paying for
Nope.
that lobbyist. There's
Nope.
4 growers chipping in to pay for
the
that
plan
lobbyist.
is there.
So they know that if they can get their hooks in, and this is not just Connecticut, it's every state. If they can get their hooks in, then once they have their hooks in, then they keep their little coalition going, and then they start to control the market through pricing, price fixing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And through, stopping opportunities for other people to get in, buying up any little company that comes along right away, buy them up
That's
before
right.
they can even get big.
Before they can develop,
Right.
what would happen if Jeff Bezos would have sold at his first offer for $100,000?
Right. Exactly right.
You know,
And
I don't want to
see
be bought out for $100,000.
what was the big deal I just saw recently? Canopy
Oh,
offered to buy acreage. Now, this is kind of a weird speculative deal for $3.4 billion if it gets federally legalized.
right.
So I think right now all they got was a down payment of 10%,
Yeah.
$3.4 million to get the deal started. And then if it becomes federally legal,
They'll sign the
then
papers.
Canopy would own acreage. Now, acreage is John Boehner's
Yeah.
firm, and I don't know if you know now, they own
And
3 dispensaries.
we consider them big business.
We consider them big business. No, they own 3 dispensaries in Connecticut.
Yeah.
You know that. They own Thames Valley, CCC,
Yep.
and Prime. Okay, so they sucked up 3 dispensaries here in Connecticut, and now you see those could be owned by Canopy.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and Curaleaf, the same thing. It was once a single entity. Now it's part of a giant conglomerate. And so you see this, they're eating each other up now.
Oh, yeah.
Now, smart investors.
Yep, we'll start.
We'll
We'll switch up the biggest way.
Let's get all.
Joe's giving free
Yeah,
consulting
But
out. Hold
anyway,
up, Joe.
yeah, we won't do that. But anyway, smart investors would look at those kind of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Regardless of what their thoughts are and feelings are about corporate cannabis. Because
Joe, I'm gonna be
sometimes
very
it's about
straightforward,
making
Joe.
money.
I'm gonna
Sometimes
be very straightforward, Joe. If Canopy or one of these companies come to me and say, "Mr. Vega, Canna Create is
we
amazing,"
need some consulting.
we would like Canna Create to come in and what?
Well, me too, Lou. I
Hey,
mean,
come
look,
on, Joe, you coming in right in as a partner? Come on, Joe.
I really would feel
on.
like, if Curaleaf called me and
We taking a
said,
team.
we need a consultant or we need somebody to, to help us, work within the
Mhm.
community or do something that I felt I could do as a service to them, I would do it. Absolutely. Why not? Because if you can bring some heart and soul into a corporate
Yep.
environment, then maybe that's a good thing. But they'd have to offer me a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
otherwise, I would just kind of just keep, doing my thing and try to get involved in a smaller company, that would start growing from the ground up like we've been doing. But yeah, sure. And of course, when it comes to being an investor and buying
Mhm.
stocks, hey, it's all about making money and what's
You
going
gotta
to be.
make, I'm not gonna give you a bad. I'm not gonna give you a bad stock tip. I will tell you to buy
I can
green.
separate the two, my
I
friend.
will tell you to buy green.
So anyway, yeah. So I think we mentioned a lot, a few things. But what's coming up this week?
Joe, we got a lot of stuff going
on
on,
the
my brother.
calendar,
You got
yeah.
a big calendar there, sir.
Yeah, we have a few things coming up this week on the calendar. So on tonight, April 22nd, there
Mhm.
is a hearing or forum up in Bloomfield,
Yes, sir.
and I believe it is Senator McCrory holding it, and it is completely about cannabis, and it is about equity in the cannabis industry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody has that information. If they could post it on the thread, I just need the address in Bloomfield where it is and what time it starts. And then the next thing would be obviously this thing we spoke about on the 24th down in Westport. If you
Yep.
want to hang out and hobnob with the big money people, that would be something to do. This Saturday, we have the medical marijuana class with Kebra. Okay, here it is. Okay, so yeah, it's Senator Doug McClory and Representative Bobby Gibson. They're going to discuss legalization of the recreational cannabis use in Connecticut. It is tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Bloomfield Board of Education, and that is at 1133 Blue Hills Road in Bloomfield. And it says, bring your questions, comments, and concerns. So this is important. If you're in that region and you're in that area, go up to the Bloomfield Board of Education tonight at 6 o'clock, and you can speak to Senator Doug McCrory and Representative Bobby Gibson and discuss what you want to see in
Mhm.
recreational marijuana. And Senator McCrory has been a very big advocate of equity. So if you
Very
have
much so,
ideas on
very
equity,
much.
please make sure you express them to him because I'm sure he wants to hear anybody's feedback and ideas that he can bring back to the other legislators and maybe help convince them that that is the proper way to go for legalization here in Connecticut. So anyway, besides that event, besides the event in Westport, we have this thing on Saturday. Kibra is teaching a
Big
class,
thing. We love it.
Medical Marijuana 101.
And this is class number.
Class number 2 in this
That's
series
right.
of 4. So in this class, we're going to teach about, the plant itself, what the medicinal uses of it are, what it can help with, how to dose to properly to make sure you're helping with it, and also caregiving, how to caregive for others, and titration, dosing, titration, the whole thing, and about how cannabis is used medically, and then also basically how you can get into the industry as a medical professional.
That's right.
Kibra is somebody who started out just as a regular RN, went and got some cannabis education. She had a dream, and she's pretty much fulfilled that dream.
She's doing awesome, and we love her, and she's a great instructor.
She's good to speak on that.
She's
She's
a
actually
great
somebody who's
instructor.
really done
First-hand
that.
knowledge as well as the book knowledge. She's
And, she's got a lot of accolades under her belt now in her 3 years.
100%.
Yeah.
She's a great person to have down. We're very blessed with all the instructors and team
And
that
we
we
miss
have
her
together.
this week, but we will see her Saturday at the class, and that's at 10 a.m.
And we'll see her 1,000 times this week as well.
Grove in Milford. And then, let's see, on May 1st, we have the Connecticut Medical Marijuana Discussion Group. That is also at the Grove next to Bohemian High in Milford, 158 Bridgeport Avenue. That starts at 7 o'clock. And then we have, that's May 1st. We also, on May the 10th, we have the Spring Picnic.
Yes.
With Canna Create down at the Grove. And that starts at 6. Lou, what's going on at this?
We're going to
Spring
be putting
Picnic.
on Spring Picnic is just a nice gathering for CBD enthusiasts, and they'll be able to learn a small little food dish or something there, and we'll keep
For
it
spring,
another-
like
for
a cold
spring.
dish, right?
Cold dish, yes.
And you're gonna do a little cooking demo.
Yep, they
and-
can jump online, and we'll have a full description that's going up there later on
Nice.
today with a little bit of the accolades of everybody that's going to be involved. Kind of go in depth a little bit more because it's opening itself up to a newer clientele now. So,
Right.
Thank you to the Grove and Joe and Brian and Rich out there because they're helping spread the word to a whole new group of people who are not necessarily where Canna Create was in Massachusetts mainly.
Right.
Massachusetts, California, Las Vegas, the
We
more
gotta get it here.
social gathering THC world. The CBD world has also been calling for a nice
Social hour.
social hour. So that's what we're doing. We're putting beautiful CBD social events together.
Very
with
cool.
Joe, with the Grove, with Canna Health, and all different artists that usually come in and
Yeah,
we'll
and
do.
this is the
Joe makes sure that Joe's our title sponsor, so we obviously go Joe Emporium.
we'll have
we'll have
coffee
everything
there. Yeah.
at all the events.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward to that. So you can check that out at the Grove's Facebook page and Canna Create. And then on May 11th, we have our third class, which will be dispensary services with Brian Center, and that will be also at the Grove at 10 a.m.
And I saw he was continuing his cannabis education down in Florida at the Medical Cannabis Conference as well.
Yes.
So that
yes,
was
yes.
awesome. So he's coming back with a world with even more knowledge than he even had before.
Yeah, he was in Tampa. He got a ton of knowledge down there.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome to have him coming back.
And then the next normal meeting is the 15th, and it'll be back at the Rough Draft, which is now called the Cellar.
The Cellar.
That's on Treadwell Avenue in Hamden.
Yes,
so
sir.
we do have a lot going on this month, but it's always important that even if like this week, it may be a light week as far as hearings and going
Yeah.
up. Also, one thing I did want to mention, May 8th is going to be a lobby day.
Yes, sir.
That will be Connecticut Coalition would like to do a lobby day on May the 8th. We'll get you more information about that.
May 4th, we're going down to New York.
Oh,
for the
okay.
Cannabis
for the
Parade.
Cannabis Parade, right? I'll be there. I forgot
Yep,
about that.
You'll be with us.
So
Keeper
there's
will be down
another thing
speaking.
going on.
So
Yep.
there's when everybody's asking, what can I do to get involved?
There they are.
Tons of things. You can reach out, send a message, say hello. A
Yep.
text message or a Facebook or Instagram.
So we got
Those
all
all
these
go a
things
long
coming
way.
up, and let's read the thing one more
We
time.
got to pay the bills,
and
Joe.
then
Let's
head
pay
on
those
out.
bills.
You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to Facebook.com, New Haven Independent, or go to your Facebook page and look us up. And that sound means that Harry the Brave is kicking us off because he wants to get on the air and talk about what's going on
Harry the
today
Brave is
in the
coming on
world.
next, so
Breaking the
please stay
mainstream
on.
media. We love Harry.
Breaking the mainstream media.
He is our producer here, and we love him. Give a big shout out. Stay on the air and listen to his show. We'll see you all next week. We'll have more news on the world of weed. Bye-bye.
Stay happy, healthy, and high, my friends.
My shoebox got 100 G. I'm in Cali every week. I go hard. Bro said he got sour, need that whole yard. I'm chasing turkey bag, chasing gold yard. Tell us down, we won't go far. Blue sherbet stuff the whole jar. 100 P's on the Bay Bridge, stuck in traffic. If I ever run into Riri, let's make magic. Die doing something you love, it ain't tragic. Heard what I said, it ain't tragic. From the home of lay down, smoking ratchets. Never win when you spell it backward. I got green in the bay, my whole team Packers. Told the plug I need 100 P's, and my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 P's, and my shoebox got 100 G. Told the plug I need 100 P's, and my shoebox